The hospital room smelled of bleach and regret, a sterile cage where my daughter's breath barely stirred the air. Ava lay there, 9 years old, her small body swallowed by a pink blanket dotted with cartoon stars, her dark curls matted against a pillow that seemed to mock her stillness. I sat beside her, my calloused hands trembling as I gripped hers, willing her to squeeze back, to blink, to do anything but lie there like a memory I could not hold. 7 days ago, she had laughed at my bad pancake flips, her voice bright as the morning sun. Then she collapsed, her shoelaces half-tied, her eyes rolling back before I could catch her. The doctors called it an acute cerebral shutdown, a phrase that meant nothing except that my world was unraveling, and I had missed the warning signs. The heart monitor beeped, a steady, hollow rhythm that filled the silence where her voice should have been. I had not left this room since they wheeled her in, not for coffee, not for sleep, not even when the nurses whispered about hospital policy or insurance limits. My back ached, my eyes burned, but pain was an old friend. I had built bridges, hauled steel beams, poured concrete into the earth's bones, but nothing had ever felt heavier than this. Ava was my everything, the only piece of my heart left after her mother's fire stole the rest. I should have seen it coming. I should have been home, not at the site, not chasing overtime to pay for a house she barely smiled in anymore. The door swung open, sharp and uninvited. Derek Larson strode in, his polished shoes clicking against the linoleum, his tailored suit screaming money I could never touch. He was a tech billionaire, owner of half the hospitals in the state, a man who thought he could buy miracles the way he bought private jets. His PR team hovered behind him, cameras ready to capture his generosity, but his eyes glinted with something colder: opportunity. "Elias James," he said, my name sounding like a contract in his mouth. "I read about your daughter. Tragic, but I can help." I looked up, my jaw tight. "Help how?" My voice was rough, worn from whispering to Ava through the night. Derek smirked, adjusting his cufflinks. "I have the best neurologists in the world on speed dial. AI diagnostics, experimental protocols, tech that makes this hospital look like a museum. All free, of course." He leaned closer, his cologne sharp and invasive. "Trust me, I can upgrade her brain like a software patch." I stood, slow and deliberate, placing Ava's hand gently on the blanket. "She is not a machine," I said, each word a stone. "She is my little girl." He waved a hand, dismissive, his laugh echoing like a slap. "Emotion clouds judgment, Elias. Science wins." He turned to his team, already dictating orders, as if Ava were a project, not a person. I wanted to shove him out, to scream that his money meant nothing if it could not bring her back. But I was tired, so tired, and a small, desperate part of me wondered if he was right. He left as quickly as he came, his promises trailing like smoke. The room settled back into its rhythm, beeps, hums, the faint drip of an IV. I sank into the chair, my eyes tracing Ava's face, her closed lids, the faint freckles I used to count when she slept. I had failed her. I had missed her quiet mornings, her questions about the moon, her stories about girls who whispered to stars. I had buried those moments under work, under grief, under the lie that strength meant silence. A soft tap on the window broke my thoughts. The night nurse, a woman with kind eyes and a clipboard, leaned in. "Mr. James," she whispered, "there is a boy in the lobby. Says he wants to help." "A boy?" I frowned, stepping into the hallway. The fluorescent lights buzzed, casting shadows on the linoleum. "What boy?" She pointed toward the lobby, her voice hesitant. "He is alone, barefoot." "Says he knows Ava." I walked toward the glass doors, my boots heavy, my heart heavier. The lobby was empty except for a single figure on a bench, small and still, his oversized hoodie frayed at the sleeves, his jeans torn at the knees. He was maybe 11, his face smudged with dirt, but his eyes, deep, clear, like they held the weight of 1,000 nights, locked onto mine. He stood as I approached, nodding respectfully. "Are you Ava's father?" he asked, his voice soft but certain. "Yes," I said, my throat dry. "Who are you?" He did not answer. Instead, he stepped closer, his bare feet silent on the cold floor. "I know how to wake her up." The words hit me like a gust of wind, sharp and impossible. I blinked, my chest tight. "What did you say?" "I know how to wake her up," he repeated, his gaze unwavering. "She is not lost. She is listening, but she needs you to speak." I shook my head, exhaustion warring with hope. "Kid, the best doctors could not help her. A billionaire could not help her. What makes you think—" "Sometimes," he interrupted, his voice steady, "it takes someone small to remind you of big things." He looked past me, toward Ava's room, as if he could see her through the walls. "She needs your truth, Mr. James. The words you have hidden." My breath caught. No one knew about the words I had buried, the stories I had stopped telling, the songs I had silenced after the fire. I wanted to send him away, to call security, to cling to the logic that kept me sane. But something in his eyes, something ancient and aching, held me still. "All right," I whispered, barely believing my own voice. "Come with me." He nodded, his bare feet padding softly as he followed. The hallway stretched before us, dim and endless, and for the first time in 7 days I felt something shift inside me. Not hope, not yet, but a crack in the silence that had broken me. The hospital hallway stretched like a tunnel to nowhere, its fluorescent lights flickering as if they too were tired of hope. I led the boy, barefoot, his frayed hoodie swallowing his small frame, toward Ava's room, my boots echoing against the linoleum. His name was Isaac, he had said, but nothing else. No last name, no explanation, just those eyes, deep and steady, like they held secrets I was not ready to hear. My chest tightened with every step. I was a fool to trust him, a stranger who looked like he had wandered out of a storm, but something in his voice, calm, certain, had cracked the wall I had built around my heart. Ava was slipping away, and I had nothing left to lose. We entered the room, and the air felt heavier, as if the machines knew something I did not. Ava lay unchanged, her small chest rising and falling beneath the pink blanket, her face pale under the sterile glow. The heart monitor beeped, relentless, each pulse a reminder of time running out. Isaac stepped to her bedside, his bare feet silent, and stood there, staring at her with a gentleness that made my throat burn. He did not touch her, not yet, but his presence filled the room like a warm breath in winter. "Who are you?" I asked again, my voice low, almost a growl. "How do you know my daughter?" Isaac turned to me, his eyes meeting mine without flinching. "I know her because she is lost," he said. "Not gone, mister. James. Lost. She is listening, but she does not know if it is safe to come back." I blinked, my hands clenching into fists. "Safe? She is in a hospital surrounded by doctors. What do you mean, safe?" He tilted his head as if weighing my words. "Hospitals fix bodies, but hearts need something else." He looked back at Ava, his voice softening. "She needs your truth. The pain you carry, the stories you stopped telling." My breath caught, sharp and cold. No one knew about the stories. Not the nurses, not the doctors, not even Ava's teachers. They were hers, ours, from nights when she was little, curled against me on the couch, her eyes wide as I spun tales of girls who whispered to the moon. She loved those myths, the ones my grandmother used to tell me, about starlight and courage. But after the fire, after my wife's ashes settled into the earth, I had buried those stories with her. Ava had noticed, her questions growing quieter, her smiles rarer, and I had let her fade into my silence. "How do you know that?" I whispered, my voice trembling. "How do you know what I have not said?" Isaac did not answer. Instead, he stepped closer to Ava, his small hand hovering over her forehead. "Can I sit with her?" he asked, his tone respectful but firm, like he already knew my answer. Every instinct screamed to stop him, to demand answers, to protect Ava from this boy who smelled of dust and mystery. But my heart, raw and aching, nodded. "All right," I said, stepping back, my eyes never leaving him. He pulled the chair closer, its legs scraping softly, and sat beside her. His hand rested lightly on her head, his fingers barely brushing her curls. His lips moved, silent, as if whispering something the room could not hear. The air shifted, not physically, but deeper, like a window had opened somewhere I could not see. I stood frozen, my pulse loud in my ears, waiting for a sign, a sound, anything to prove this was not madness. Then it happened. The heart monitor blipped just once, faster than before. The nurse at the door gasped, her clipboard clattering against the frame. I spun to the screen, my eyes wide. The green line spiked, then settled, but it was real. I had seen it. "Did you?" I started, turning to Isaac, but he was already standing, his hand back at his side. "She is listening," he said, his voice calm, "but she needs more. She needs you to speak." "Speak what?" I snapped, frustration boiling over. "I have been here every day, talking to her, reading her stories, playing her songs. What more can I say?" He looked at me, his eyes piercing. "The truth you have hidden. The pain you carry alone, she feels it, Mr. James." "She always has." I stumbled back, my legs hitting the chair. The truth, the weight of it pressed against my ribs, sharp and unrelenting. I had not been there that morning. I had been at the site, hauling beams, ignoring her quiet coughs at breakfast, her tired eyes. I had missed the signs, the way she clung to me a little longer when I kissed her goodbye. And before that, I had missed her stories, her questions, her need for the father I used to be before grief turned me to stone. "I cannot," I whispered, my voice breaking. "I cannot say it." "It will break me." Isaac nodded as if he understood. "Sometimes breaking is how you heal." He stepped toward the door, his bare feet leaving no trace on the floor. "I will come back." "But you have to start, Mr. James, for her." "Wait," I called, my voice hoarse. "Where are you going? Who are you?" He paused, his hand on the doorframe, and looked back with a faint smile. "I am someone who remembers what others forget." Then he was gone, slipping into the hallway, his silhouette fading under the flickering lights. I turned back to Ava, my heart pounding. The monitor beeped steadily, but the air felt different, charged, like the moment before a storm. I sank into the chair, my hands trembling as I reached for hers. "Ava," I whispered, my voice cracking. "I am here, baby. I am so sorry I was not there before." The words felt like knives, each one cutting deeper, but I kept going. I told her about that morning, how I had rushed out the door, how I had seen her tired smile and thought it was nothing. I told her about the fire, about her mother's laugh, about the stories I had stopped telling because they hurt too much. My voice broke, tears falling onto her blanket, but I did not stop. I could not stop. The nurse returned, her eyes wide as she checked the monitors. "Mr. James," she said, her voice hesitant. "Her heart rate, it is stronger, not much, but it is there." I nodded, wiping my eyes, my chest tight with something I had not felt in days. Hope. But it was fragile, and I was afraid to hold it too tightly. I looked at the door, half expecting Isaac to be there, but the hallway was empty. The nurse frowned, tapping her tablet. "That boy," she said. "There is no record of him, no visitor log, no cameras." "Are you sure?" "I am sure," I said, my voice steady for the first time. I did not care about logs or cameras. I had seen him, felt him, and Ava had heard him. That was enough. I sat back down, my hand wrapped around Ava's, and began to tell her another story, one she loved, about a girl who whispered to the moon and found her way home. My voice was rough, my throat raw, but I kept going, each word a thread pulling her closer. And then, as the clock blinked past midnight, I saw it. Her fingers twitched just once against mine. My breath stopped. I stared, waiting, praying it was not a dream. The monitor blipped again, faster, stronger, and I knew deep in my bones that she was listening, that she was fighting, that Isaac was right. The hospital room was a cage of light and shadow, the monitors casting a green glow across Ava's face. Her fingers had twitched, once, fleeting but real, and I clung to that moment like a man drowning. I sat beside her, my hand wrapped around hers, the calluses on my palms rough against her soft skin. The clock on the wall blinked 1:17 a.m., each second a hammer against my heart. Isaac's words echoed in my skull. "She needs your truth." I had started, spilled my guilt about that morning, about the fire, about the stories I had buried. But the weight of it all pressed harder now, threatening to crush me. I was not sure I could keep going, not sure I could face the man I had failed to be. I leaned closer, my voice a whisper. "Ava, baby, I am here." My throat burned, raw from tears and confessions. I told her about the day she was born, how her mother's laugh had filled the delivery room, how I had promised to be her shield. I told her how I had broken that promise, not with one choice but 1,000 small ones, late nights at the site, missed bedtimes, silences where stories should have been. Each word felt like peeling back my skin, exposing the raw, bleeding truth I had hidden even from myself. The door creaked, and I flinched, half expecting Isaac's barefoot silhouette. Instead, it was Derek Larson, his polished shoes clicking like a countdown. His suit was crisp, but his eyes were tired, the glint of confidence dulled. Behind him, a neurologist in a white coat carried a tablet, her face tight with something like defeat. Derek's voice cut through the room, sharp and forced. "Elias, we have updates." I stood, slow, my body aching from hours in the chair. "What kind?" My voice was rough, wary. Ava's twitch still burned in my mind, and I did not trust Derek's promises anymore. He gestured to the neurologist who stepped forward, her voice clipped. "We ran the AI diagnostics and the experimental protocol. No change. Her brain activity is stable but unresponsive." She hesitated, glancing at Derek. "We are out of options. The board is discussing next steps. Palliative care, possibly." The words hit like a fist to my chest. "Palliative care?" I repeated, my voice rising. "You mean giving up?" Derek raised a hand, his tone patronizing. "Elias, be realistic. We have thrown everything at this. Top specialists, cutting-edge tech. Sometimes you have to accept. She is not a machine you can write off," I snapped, stepping closer, my hands clenched. "She moved, Derek." Her fingers twitched. I saw it. The neurologist frowned, tapping her tablet. "A reflex, perhaps?" "It is not uncommon in comas. It does not mean—" "It means she is fighting," I said, my voice shaking. "She is still here." Derek sighed, rubbing his temples. "Elias, I get it. You are emotional. But science does not bend to hope." He glanced at Ava, his expression softening for a moment, almost human. "I wanted this to work, for her, for the headlines." He caught himself, his mask slipping back into place. But we cannot keep resources tied up indefinitely. I stared at him, my blood boiling. Resources? She is my daughter. He met my gaze, unflinching. And I am trying to help, but hospitals have rules. Insurance has limits. You need to prepare for what comes next. I turned away, my eyes burning, and sat back beside Ava. Her hand was warm, her pulse steady under my fingers. I would not prepare for anything but her waking up. Derek and the neurologist left, their footsteps fading, but their words lingered, cold and heavy. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in, and for a moment, I wondered if they were right. Then I remembered Isaac's eyes, his certainty, and the twitch of Ava's fingers. I was not done fighting. The morning light crept through the blinds, pale and thin. I had not slept, my voice hoarse from talking to Ava through the night. I told her about the moon, how she used to ask if it listened to her whispers. I told her about her mother, how she would braid Ava's hair and hum old songs from her childhood. Each story was a thread, pulling me back to the man I had been before grief stole my voice. But it was not enough. Isaac had said she needed more, and I was terrified of what that meant. A soft tap on the door broke my thoughts. The day nurse, a young woman with a tight bun, stepped in, her eyes curious. Mr. James, about that boy last night. There is no record of him. No visitor log, no security footage. I checked with the desk. She paused, her voice lowering. Are you sure he was here? I nodded, my jaw tight. I am sure. I did not need cameras to know Isaac was real. I had felt the air shift when he touched Ava's hand, seen the monitor blip, but the nurse's words gnawed at me, planting seeds of doubt. Who was he? Where had he come from? She hesitated, then stepped closer, checking Ava's IV. Her vitals are stronger today. Not much, but it is something. She glanced at me, her expression softening. Keep talking to her. Sometimes they hear more than we think. I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. When she left, I leaned over Ava, my forehead resting against her hand. I am not giving up, I whispered. Not ever. But the fear was there, sharp and cold, whispering that I was not enough. Then the door creaked again, and my heart jumped. Isaac stood there, his hoodie sagging, his bare feet smudged with dirt. He looked the same, yet different, his eyes brighter, like they carried the morning sun. I said I would come back, he said, his voice soft but steady. I stood, my chest tight. Where do you go, Isaac? Why is there no trace of you? He smiled, faint and knowing. I go where I am needed. And I am here now. He walked to Ava's bedside, his movements calm, deliberate. She is closer today. Your words reached her. I swallowed, my voice trembling. She moved, Isaac. Her fingers, I saw it. He nodded as if he had expected it. She heard you, but she needs more, the truth you are still holding back. I shook my head, my hands shaking. I told her everything. The morning she collapsed, the fire, her mother. What else is there? He looked at me, his eyes piercing. The promise you broke, not to her but to yourself, the man you stopped being. My knees buckled, and I gripped the chair for balance. The man I stopped being, the father who sang lullabies, who laughed with Ava under the stars, who believed love was stronger than fear. I had buried him with my wife, locked him away because it hurt too much to feel. Ava had felt that absence, her quiet questions a plea I had ignored. I cannot, I whispered, tears burning my eyes. It is too much. Isaac stepped closer, his small hand resting on my arm. It is not too much. It is enough. He looked at Ava, his voice gentle. Tell her you are coming back to her. Not just here, but everywhere. I nodded, my chest heaving, and sat beside Ava. My voice cracked as I spoke. Ava, I am sorry I stopped being your dad. Not just that morning, but all the days before. I stopped singing, stopped telling you stories, stopped seeing you. But I am here now. I am coming back. I promise. The monitor blipped, faster, stronger, and the nurse rushed in, her eyes wide. Mr. James, her heart rate. It is climbing. And her oxygen levels. She checked the screen, her voice shaking. This is not possible. I looked at Isaac, but he was already moving toward the door, his smile soft. Keep going, he said. She is almost home. Then he was gone, and Ava's fingers twitched again, not once, but twice, her small hand curling against mine. The hospital room hummed with a quiet that felt alive, as if Ava's twitching fingers had stirred the air itself. I sat beside her, my hand cradling hers, her small pulse steady beneath my calloused fingers. The monitor's green line danced, stronger now, each blip a whisper of hope I was afraid to trust. Isaac's words clung to me like damp cloth. The man you stopped being. I had confessed my failures, my absence, the stories I had buried. But he had said she needed more, something deeper, and the weight of it pressed against my chest, heavy as the steel beams I used to haul. I was running out of truths to give, but Ava was fighting, and I could not let her fight alone. The morning light filtered through the blinds, casting thin stripes across Ava's face. Her cheeks looked less pale, or maybe I was seeing what I wanted to see. I had not slept, my eyes raw, my voice a husk from hours of talking. I told her about the summer she was 5, how she chased fireflies in the backyard, her laughter brighter than the stars. I told her about her mother, how she would dance with Ava in the kitchen, their shadows swaying to old jazz records. Each memory was a shard of glass, sharp and beautiful, cutting me open as I spoke. But it was not enough. Isaac had said she needed something else, and I was terrified I did not have it. The door creaked, soft and familiar, and my heart leapt. Isaac stood there, his oversized hoodie sagging, his bare feet smudged with the same dirt that seemed to follow him. His eyes were brighter today, like they carried a piece of the sky. She is closer, he said, his voice calm but certain, as he stepped to Ava's bedside. Your words are pulling her back. I stood, my legs unsteady. She moved again, Isaac, twice. Her hand. It curled against mine. My voice cracked, hope and fear tangling in my throat. What do I do now? I have told her everything I know. He looked at Ava, his small hand hovering over her wrist. Not everything, he said, his gaze meeting mine. There is a song, the one you sang to her before the fire. Before the quiet. My breath stopped, my chest tightening as if the air had turned to stone. The song. I had not sung it since the night we buried my wife, since the world burned down and took my voice with it. It was a lullaby, one my grandmother taught me, passed down through generations like a prayer. There's light in the shadows and stars in the rain. Ava loved it. Her small body curled against me, her eyes heavy as my voice carried her to sleep. But after the fire, the melody felt like a betrayal, a promise I could not keep. I had locked it away, along with the man who believed in love over loss. I cannot, I whispered, my voice breaking. It is gone. I am not that man anymore. Isaac's eyes softened, but his voice was firm. You are... She remembers it, and so do you. He stepped closer, his small frame steady, unyielding. She is lost in the dark, Mr. James. The song is her light. I sank into the chair, my hands trembling. The room blurred, and for a moment I was back in our old house, the yellow curtains swaying, Ava on my lap, her head against my chest. My wife was there, humming along, her voice weaving with mine. "Hold on, little dreamer. You'll fly once again." The memory was so vivid I could smell the lavender in her hair, feel the warmth of Ava's breath. Then it shattered, leaving me cold, alone, staring at my daughter's still face. "I cannot," I said again, tears burning my eyes. "It hurts too much." Isaac knelt beside me, his small hand resting on my arm. "The hurt is why it matters. She needs to hear it. She needs to know you are still her father." I looked at Ava, her chest rising and falling, her fingers still against mine. The monitor beeped, steady but stronger, as if urging me to try. I closed my eyes, my throat tight, and let the melody rise, faint at first, like a whisper from another life. "There's light in the shadows," I sang, my voice cracking, "and stars in the rain." The words were rough, unsteady, but they came, each note a step toward her. "Hold on, little dreamer, you'll fly once again." The room seemed to hold its breath. The monitor blipped faster, the green line spiking. I kept singing, my voice trembling but growing stronger, the lullaby filling the space where silence had lived too long. I saw Ava's face, not as she was now, but as she had been, laughing, running, her eyes full of moonlight. I sang for her, for the father I had lost, for the promises I would keep. The nurse burst in, her eyes wide, her tablet forgotten in her hand. "Mr. James, her heart rate, it is climbing. Her brain waves—" She checked the screen, her voice shaking. "This is not possible. She is responding." I stopped singing, my breath ragged, and looked at Ava. Her fingers twitched again, not once, but 3 times, her small hand curling tighter against mine. Tears fell, hot and fast, onto her blanket. "Ava," I whispered, my voice breaking. "I am here, baby." "Come back to me." Isaac stood, his smile soft but knowing. "You gave her something to follow," he said. "She knows the way now." He stepped back, his bare feet silent, and for the first time I saw something in his eyes. Pain, deep and old, like he had carried it longer than any child should. "Why are you doing this?" I asked, my voice hoarse. "You do not know us." He paused, his hand on the doorframe, and looked back. "I know her heart," he said. "Because I was a child once, alone in a bed like this. No one sang to me, no one held my hand." I waited, but no one came. His voice was steady, but his eyes glistened. I promised myself if I got the chance, I would not let another child wait. My chest ached, tears blurring my vision. "Isaac," I whispered, but he was already moving, slipping into the hallway, his silhouette fading under the flickering lights. I wanted to call him back, to thank him, to ask who he was, but the words stuck in my throat. I turned to Ava, my hand trembling as I brushed her curls. The monitor beeped, strong and steady, and then I saw it. Her eyelids fluttered, faint but real, like the first stir of a bird's wings. My heart stopped, hope and fear crashing together. "Ava," I whispered, leaning closer, my voice shaking. "Can you hear me?" The room was silent, but the air felt alive, charged with something I could not name. I sang again, soft and low, the lullaby weaving through the beeps and hums. "There's light in the shadows." Her eyelids fluttered again, and I knew, deep in my bones, that she was closer than she had ever been. But the question burned, sharp and urgent. Would she open her eyes, or was this the last light before the dark? The hospital room glowed with a fragile hope, the monitor's green light flickering across Ava's face like a promise. Her eyelids had fluttered, twice, faint but undeniable, and I clung to that movement, my heart pounding as if it could will her awake. I sat beside her, my hand wrapped around hers, her small fingers warm against my calloused palm. The lullaby still lingered in my throat, its melody a thread tying me to the father I had forgotten how to be. Isaac's words echoed, soft but heavy. She knows the way now. But the fear remained, sharp and cold, whispering that this could be a cruel trick, a final spark before the dark. The afternoon sun slanted through the blinds, painting gold streaks on Ava's pink blanket. The air smelled of antiseptic and something softer, like the dust Isaac carried on his clothes. I had not left her side, my voice raw from singing, my eyes burning from tears and sleepless nights. I sang the lullaby again. There's light in the shadows, each note a plea, a prayer, a vow. Her heart rate was stronger, the nurses said, her brain waves shifting in ways they could not explain. But she was not awake, not yet, and every second felt like a tightrope walk over an abyss. The door swung open, and Dr. Harper, the lead neurologist, stepped in, her white coat crisp, her face a mask of professional calm. She carried a chart, her fingers tapping against it, and behind her stood the day nurse, her eyes wide with something like awe. "Mr. James," Dr. Harper said, her voice measured. "We need to talk about Ava's progress." I stood, my legs unsteady, my hand still holding Ava's. "Progress?" I asked, my voice rough. "She moved, doctor." Her eyelids, her fingers, that is not nothing. Dr. Harper nodded, her eyes flicking to the monitor. "It is remarkable, I will admit. Her vitals are stabilizing, heart rate, oxygen levels, even brain activity. We have seen alpha waves, which suggest some level of consciousness." She hesitated, her brow furrowing. "But there is no medical explanation for this, no medication, no procedure. It is anomalous." I swallowed, my chest tight. "Call it what you want," I said, my voice low. "I know what I saw, what I felt." The nurse stepped forward, her voice soft. "Mr. James, the monitors do not lie. She is responding. We just do not know why." She glanced at Dr. Harper, then back at me. "Some of the staff are talking about the boy. The one you mentioned, they say he was here, but there is no record of him," Dr. Harper interrupted, her tone sharp. "No visitor logs, no footage. We have checked." She looked at me, her expression softening slightly. "Grief can play tricks, Mr. James. I am not saying you are wrong, but we need to focus on facts." I clenched my jaw, my eyes burning. "The fact is my daughter is fighting." "And that boy, Isaac, he knew things. He told me to sing, to tell her the truth. And she heard me. Doctor." Harper sighed, flipping through her chart. "I cannot chart a boy who does not exist, but I can chart Ava's vitals, and they are improving. We will keep monitoring her closely." She paused, her voice lowering. "Whatever you are doing, keep doing it." They left, the door clicking shut, and I sank back into the chair, my hand trembling as I brushed Ava's curls. The room felt charged, as if Isaac's presence lingered, his words a quiet hum beneath the machines. I leaned closer, my voice a whisper. "Ava, I am not going anywhere, you hear me? I am right here." I sang again, soft and low, the lullaby weaving through the beeps and hums. I was halfway through the second verse when I found it. A folded note, tucked beneath Ava's blanket, its edges worn, the paper smudged with dirt. My breath caught as I opened it, the handwriting small and uneven. "Keep singing, Mr. James, she hears you. Sometimes the healing comes before the waking." No signature, but I knew. Isaac had been here, unseen, leaving this like a breadcrumb on a path I could not see. I pressed the note to my chest, tears falling, and sang louder, my voice cracking but steady. "Hold on, little dreamer, you'll fly once again." The monitor blipped, faster, and I watched Ava's face, searching for another sign, another flutter. The room was silent, the air thick with waiting, and then it happened. A sound, faint but unmistakable, like a breath caught in a dream. "Daddy." My heart stopped. I leaned closer, my hands shaking, my eyes locked on her face. "Ava?" I whispered, my voice breaking. "Baby, can you hear me?" Her lips moved again, barely, the word a murmur but real. "Daddy." Her eyelids fluttered, not fully open but trying, and a single tear slipped down her cheek, glinting in the sunlight. I sobbed, my head falling against her hand, my tears soaking the blanket. "Ava, I am here. I am right here." I sang again, the lullaby pouring out, each note a lifeline pulling her closer. The nurse rushed in, her gasp loud in the quiet, her tablet clattering to the floor. "She spoke," she said, her voice trembling. She is responding." I nodded, unable to speak, my eyes never leaving Ava. Her fingers curled tighter against mine, her heart rate climbing, the monitor's green line a steady dance. I looked to the door, half expecting Isaac, but the hallway was empty. Yet his note burned in my hand, his words a truth I could not deny. He had led me here, to this moment, to her voice. The nurse called for Dr. Harper, and soon the room was a flurry of white coats and hushed voices. They checked monitors, adjusted IVs, their faces a mix of disbelief and wonder. I stayed by Ava, my hand on hers, my voice soft as I whispered, "You are doing so good, baby. Keep coming back." When the chaos settled, Dr. Harper stood by the window, her chart forgotten. "This is unprecedented," she said, her voice low. "Her brain activity is... it is like she is waking up. I do not understand it." I smiled, faint but real, the note still clutched in my hand. "You do not have to," I said. "She is my daughter. That is enough." The afternoon faded into evening, the room bathed in a soft orange glow. I sat with Ava, my voice hoarse but steady, telling her stories of the moon, of girls who found their way home. Then, as the clock blinked past 7:00 p.m., she spoke again, her voice weak but clear. "Daddy, where is the boy?" I froze, my breath catching. "The boy?" I asked, my voice trembling. "You saw him?" She nodded, slow, her eyes still closed but her lips curving slightly. "He sang to me." "In the dark. He smelled like bread and dust. He said you were waiting." My chest ached, tears falling as I cupped her face. "He was right, baby. I am waiting. I will always wait." Her fingers tightened against mine, and I knew deep in my soul that she was coming back. But Isaac's words, his note, his absence, they burned with a question I could not answer. Who was he, and why had he chosen us? The hospital room was no longer a cage, but a sanctuary, its sterile walls softened by the miracle unfolding before me. Ava's eyes had not yet opened, but her voice, weak, trembling, but hers, had shattered the silence that had haunted me for 8 days. I sat beside her, my hand cradling hers, her small fingers curling tighter with each passing hour. The monitors hummed, their green lines steady and strong, a rhythm that felt like a heartbeat shared between us. The lullaby still lingered in my throat, its melody now a part of me, a vow I would never break again. But Isaac's absence weighed heavy, his note tucked in my pocket, its words, "Sometimes the healing comes before the waking," a quiet fire urging me forward. The evening light faded, casting a soft purple glow across Ava's face. Her cheeks held color now, faint but real, and her breathing was deeper, less mechanical. I had not left her side, my voice hoarse from stories and songs, my heart full of a hope I finally trusted. I told her about the moon, how she used to swear it whispered back, and about her mother, How she would laugh when Ava smeared flour on her nose during baking. Each word was a bridge, pulling her closer, rebuilding the father I had lost to grief. The door opened and Dr. Harper stepped in, her face less guarded now, her chart held loosely. "Mr. James," she said, her voice soft, "Ava's latest scans are extraordinary. Her brain activity is nearly normal. We are reducing her sedation. She could wake fully any day now." She paused, her eyes meeting mine. "I still cannot explain it, but I am starting to think I do not need to." I nodded, my throat tight. "She is coming back," I said, my voice steady. "That is all that matters." Dr. Harper smiled, faint but genuine, and left, the door clicking shut. I leaned closer to Ava, brushing her curls. "You hear that, baby? You are almost home." I sang the lullaby again. There's light in the shadows, my voice cracking but strong, each note a promise. Her fingers twitched, and I smiled, tears falling. She was fighting, and I was fighting with her. The next morning I stepped outside for the first time in days, the air sharp with the promise of spring. The world felt different, brighter, as if Ava's voice had painted it new. I walked to a convenience store, my boots heavy but my heart light, and bought a small spiral notebook. Isaac's note had reminded me of something. Words matter, stories heal, and I needed to keep them close. I sat on a bench outside the hospital, the notebook open, and wrote. Songs, stories, prayers, truths I had buried too long. I wrote about Ava's laugh, her mother's smile, the man I wanted to be. Each word was a step toward rebuilding, not just for Ava, but for me. Back in the room, Ava's condition improved daily. Her fingers moved more, her murmurs grew clearer, and by the third day she opened her eyes for the first time, just a sliver, her gaze unfocused, but alive. I sobbed, holding her hand, whispering her name. She could not speak much yet, her body weak from the coma, but she hummed, faint, unsteady, the lullaby Isaac had taught her in the dark. I joined her, our voices weaving together, and the nurses stood in the doorway, their eyes wet, their clipboards forgotten. A week later, Ava was discharged to begin therapy. Her steps were shaky, her hands trembled when she held a crayon, but her will was unshakable. She drew pictures of a boy with no shoes, his coat too big, his smile like sunlight. "That is Isaac," she said, her voice soft but certain. "He sang to me when I was lost." I nodded, my chest aching, and taped her drawings to the hospital window, a quiet tribute to the boy no one else could find. I made a decision then, one that felt like a calling. I sold my truck, the one I had kept for late-night drives to clear my head. Then the cabin upstate, the last of my savings from years of overtime. The money was not for me, it was for something bigger, I founded Voices at Dawn, a community center for children like Ava, those navigating trauma, illness, or grief. It offered art, music, stories, a place where silence could end and healing begin. The first mural, painted by Ava, showed a boy with bare feet, his hand outstretched, a song rising from the dark. Beneath it, in her shaky blue letters, he did not have wings, he had faith. The center opened quietly, but its impact was loud. Families came, children laughed, and I saw Ava's strength in every small victory. She started therapy, her legs growing stronger, her voice clearer. Each night I played the lullaby on an old piano we kept at the center, and she would hum along, her eyes bright with the moon she loved. But Isaac's absence lingered, a question I could not answer. Had he been real? An angel? A memory? I did not know, but I felt him in every note, every story. One evening, Ava and I walked through our old neighborhood, her purple rain boots splashing in puddles that did not exist. "Just in case," she said, grinning, and I laughed. the sound foreign but welcome. We stopped at a street corner near the old train station, the air thick with the scent of rust and evening dew. An old man stood there, his harmonica singing a slow, soulful tune. At his feet, a cardboard sign read, "You are not lost. You are just not finished yet." Ava gasped, tugging my hand. "Daddy, look!" I froze, my heart racing. I approached the man, his grizzled beard catching the streetlight. "Where did you get that phrase?" I asked, my voice low. He shrugged, his fingers pausing on the harmonica. "Heard it from a boy, years back. Little guy, no shoes. Played music with me till he vanished." He smiled, his eyes twinkling. Said his name was Isaac. Ava grinned, her face alight. "He is still out there, Daddy." I nodded, my chest blooming with something warm, like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Yeah, baby, I think he is." That night, Ava could not sleep, her eyes fixed on the moon through her bedroom window. I sat beside her, my notebook open, the pages filled with our story. "Daddy," she said, hugging her stuffed giraffe, "what if Isaac finds another girl who is lost? What if she is scared like I was?" I brushed her hair back, my voice soft. "Then I hope someone is singing nearby." She nodded, her eyes serious. "We should teach the world to sing, like you taught me, but bigger? On the internet, on YouTube, everywhere, so no one feels alone." I smiled, my heart full. "You want to do that?" "Yes," she said, her voice firm. "Like Isaac did for me." And so we did. We recorded Ava's story, her drawings, her laughter, her shaky but determined voice. I added songs from the notebook, raw and trembling, each one a piece of our truth. We called the channel Isaac's Echo, a name Ava chose, her eyes bright with purpose. In days it spread, the views climbing, the comments pouring in from strangers who felt found. "I thought I was lost," one wrote, "but maybe I am just not finished yet." I looked at Ava, her face glowing in the moonlight, and knew this was only the beginning. Isaac had led us here, but the echo was ours to carry. The voices at Dawn Center smelled of fresh paint and hope, its walls alive with murals of stars and outstretched hands. I stood in the main room, my boots scuffing the polished floor, watching children laugh as they drew with crayons and danced to a piano's uneven tune. Ava was among them, her purple rain boots catching the light, her laughter a melody I had once thought lost. 3 months had passed since she woke from the coma, since Isaac's echo led her back to me. Her steps were steadier now, her voice strong, but her eyes still searched the horizon, as if looking for the boy who smelled of bread and dust. I carried that search, too, his note worn thin in my pocket, his words a fire that never faded. "Keep singing. She hears you." The evening air was warm. The center's windows opened to a breeze that carried the scent of jasmine. Isaac's Echo, our YouTube channel, had grown beyond anything I could have imagined. 2 million views in weeks, then 10 million. Each click a stranger's heart touched by Ava's story, my songs, our truth. Messages poured in from ICU beds, broken homes, lonely dorm rooms, people who felt lost, who found light in Ava's drawings of a barefoot boy in the lullaby that carried her home. "I was ready to give up," one wrote, "but your story reminded me I am not finished yet." I read every message, my chest aching, knowing Isaac's hand was in this, even if I could not see him. Tonight was special. The center's first anniversary, a celebration of healing, of voices found. Ava had insisted on performing, her small hands clutching a microphone, her knees trembling but her eyes bright. I stood at the back, my notebook in hand, its pages filled with stories and prayers I would never let silence steal again. The room was packed, families, neighbors, even reporters, their cameras discreet but present. I did not mind. This was not about me or Ava alone. It was about the echo, the faith that flew beyond us. Ava took the stage, her purple boots scuffing the wood, her voice clear as she spoke. "This is for the boy who found me," she said, her words steady. "His name is Isaac. He sang to me when I was lost, and he said my daddy was waiting. This is his song." She began to sing. There's light in the shadows and stars in the rain, her voice small but fierce, carrying the lullaby that had pulled her back. The room fell silent, the air thick with something holy, and I sang along, my voice low, weaving with hers. Tears fell, mine and others, but they were not heavy. They were light, like rain after a long drought. As she finished, the crowd erupted, their applause a wave of warmth. Ava grinned, her face glowing, and I felt my heart swell, full of a love I had almost forgotten. I scanned the room, my eyes drifting to the back row where a small figure sat, his hoodie frayed, his bare feet tucked beneath the chair. My breath caught. Isaac. His eyes met mine, bright and knowing, his smile soft but real. I blinked, my heart racing, and then he was gone, the seat empty, the air still. No one else noticed, their cheers filling the space, but I knew. He had been here, just for a moment, just for us. I stepped outside, the night air cool against my skin, the stars sharp above. Ava joined me, her hand slipping into mine, her boots clicking softly. "Did you see him, Daddy?" she asked, her voice quiet, her eyes on the moon. I nodded, my throat tight. "Yeah, baby, I did." She squeezed my hand, her smile faint but certain. "He is still out there, helping someone else." I looked at her, my daughter, my miracle, and felt something settle in my chest, peace, deep and unshakable. "Then we will keep singing," I said. "For him, for everyone." We walked back inside, the center alive with laughter and light. I opened my notebook, its pages worn but full, and wrote one last line. "Miracles are not thunder or lightning. They are dirt under nails, stories at bedtime, and a voice that never stops singing." I closed it, my hand resting on the cover, and looked at Ava, her face bright with purpose. She was right. Isaac was out there, his echo rippling through the world, and we would carry it forward, note by note, story by story. The moon hung low, its light soft but steady, and I knew, deep in my bones, that we were not finished yet. Not Ava, not me, not the thousands who heard our song. We were just beginning, and somewhere Isaac was smiling.